Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
Isaiah 32. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And a man shall be and hides from tempest, as river water is, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Welcome to the Revelation 14. And I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne, and before the 4 beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. Then I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters.
See, this is what we're hoping for. This is part of our hope. Not only that we're members of the elect, with fruits meet for repentance, like John the Baptist said, but from our low estate, because we've been brought low, even though we have this knowledge, we have this truth. Remember what is said in Revelation. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Why are we rich? Because we're rich in faith. We have this knowledge. So our hope is at our last end, we're going to be increased. Okay? And if you ask me, the greatest is right now, is to be delivered by Yahushua, is to get that new body that the Apostle Paul spoke about in 1 Corinthians 15th chapter, to get that, get that new body where we'll never be sick, we'll be immortals, like it said in 1 Corinthians 15, to be delivered from the coming destruction, and to be a part of Yahushua's cabinet in the next kingdom. Okay, those are the real riches right now. That's what we want to get. Because if you get that, you got everything. I mean, you got everything. Okay, so our sights are set a lot higher than this present world. All right, as it is written, the fashion of this world shall pass away. We are individuals of vision, and the scripture said, where an individual lacks vision, he perishes. Okay, so we can see the future. All right, and we hope that we're going to be part of it, beginning with the elect.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, and Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, and Kakwadash, pushing to get up out of there. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, so what we're going to get into with this morning, news and prophecy, as we see, the earth, is becoming increasingly more under the judgment of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. We're seeing a global judgment begin to open up in the planet earth. And we know the focal point of judgment is going to be concentrated, right here in America. Okay, and we know as this war, is escalating. Well, these other prophecies have to escalate along with the war. Okay, and we know there's gonna come a time, the persecution of the prophets, Jacob's trouble, famine, civil unrest. Okay, these things, have to happen, before, the Lord allows, this war, to go nuclear, man. So we're watching, all these prophecies happening at the same time. The scriptures say, at the end it shall speak and not lie. So we're seeing prophecy speak. Okay, we're seeing prophetic alignments, dealing with certain allies, joining the ranks of this war. Okay, who their interests are beginning to align with, and it goes right into the fulfillment of scriptures, man. And there's nothing that these devils can do to stop the fulfillment of scriptures. Okay, so when you go into let's go here. Let's get this in 2nd Ezra 9 in the GNT. We'll start at 1. Okay. So let's go here. All right, this is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 9 in the GNT verse 1. It says, he answered, consider all those things. All right, consider all these things very carefully. When you see that some of the signs I have told you, all right, about have appeared. Okay, and we see the signs of what we've been told and forewarned about in the scriptures. They're appearing, they're here. Okay, is here. The rumors of wars are turning into violence. Okay, earthquakes are on the uptick. Natural disasters on the uptick. Okay, we're seeing, nation against nation. Okay, we're seeing, constant, the topic of pestilence, a new disease. Okay, we're constantly hearing about, fuel shortages, which go into food shortages, which lead to famine. So we're seeing the stage being set. okay, of all the signs, spoken of, they're appearing, they're here. You can look out and see what's happening, and you can look at it, man. It's prophecy speaking, and the Lord is turning up the volume, man. Okay, it says you will know that the time has come when the Most High will bring judgment on the world He has created. So we're going to see a global judgment on this age, man. And the worst of it is going to be here in America, man. Okay, with the climax being America destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. Okay, but we're seeing, we're living, okay, in the time, in the era of the Most High is going to show Himself through judgment, man. Okay, if a brother want to get that Psalms 9 and 16 as well. If a brother want to get that, it said there will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. When you see these things happening, man, and we, like I said, we're seeing earthquakes, man. Okay, we're seeing, all right, rebellions, okay, against governments on the uptick, international intrigues, unstable leaders, confused rulers, because the elites is one thing. See, things when you're doing wickedness, man, there's a downside. That's why the scriptures speak about, there's no true wisdom. If a brother want to get that, and I don't want to butcher it. My brother want to get that Sirach 19 and 22 Bible shot. But when you're doing wickedness, there's always a downside. And we know the elites, they put they place these puppet leaders in office. Okay, but the thing about it, you need someone with some type of competence. Okay, but lately they just been getting these people that are easiest, all right, to rule over. Okay, that's easiest to be manipulated. Okay, for their agenda. So you have, of course, these leaders play a role. They all play into this agenda. But then when it comes to running the day-to-day functions of a society, man, there's a lot of incompetent people, and then the elites, they want to, sabotage these governments to say, well, look, this form of government is not working. We need something else. You see, democracy has played out, it's ran this course. Now we need something else, which is he's gonna present what? The technocracy, man. Okay, so we see these leaders, that have been put in place, especially in these Western, governments. Okay, and they just put anybody, in power. Okay, what they term called an empty suit. You look at the leaders of the West, most of them are a bunch of empty suits. Okay, so they're just there, playing their role in the agenda of the elites, man. And they're intentionally, destroying, the functioning of these governments, man, because they want to bring in something else, man. Okay, so when you keep reading, says you will know that they are what the Most High has spoken about since the beginning of creation. Because even in the beginning, Scripture speak about how Enoch spoke about the second coming of Yahushua, and the second coming of Yahushua, all right, will be in the age of the rulership of Esau, Edom, okay, and the earth will be in turmoil, okay. So these things have been spoken about since the beginning. Now we're in the end. You see, if a brother want to get that, First Peter 4:7, it says, you will know that they are what the Most High has spoken about since the beginning of creation, the beginning and the end of everything that happens, all right, in this world are clear. Okay, the beginning and the end of everything that happens in this world are clear, and you have to have the what they call the eye salve. The scriptures in these last days through via the Holy Spirit has given us clarity that we at the end is clear. We at the end of this man's empire and the beginning, okay, of the kingdom of Israel, which is going to be ushering with Yahushua. Because everything that's happening is ushering in Yahushua. Okay, so as we're at the tail end, so like we're at the tail end of Esau's kingdom, we're at the beginning of our kingdom, man. Okay, so we're in the time of a great transition, and this transition is going to involve a lot of judgment going forth, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's get this, and then we'll go into a cup of happiness. All right, so you go. Let's get this book of Luke, chapter 21. But let's get it's the brother Yashima tribe of Judah, Psalm 9 and 16. It said, the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai is known by the judgment which he executed, man. You know, and that's how the Lord makes a name for himself in the earth, is through judgment. Okay, and we're about to witness our power judge like he's never judged before, man. Okay, he's going to show a lot of power in wrath and in mercy. You see, and that's the good news. That's the gospel, is that the Lord, you know, as he's great, okay, in wrath, he's great in mercy, man. You know, and Lord will, you know, we're in that number that's allotted to receive mercy in these days, man. But we're finna witness power on both sides, in wrath and mercy, man. Okay, and that's how the Lord, you know, makes a name for himself, man. You see what he does to empires. You see what he did to ancient Egypt. Okay, that brought fame and terror to his name. That's where you get God Almighty, or Allah Shaja. Okay, terrible demon-like power in the Hebrew, man. You see, and it says, "And the wicked is snared in the works of his own hands." You see, Esau has put himself in the snare. Okay, he's put himself in a hell of a predicament by trying to pull this new world order off, man, because it's in complete rebellion to Yahweh Bashim Shai. You know, and the devil embarked on the impossible task. Okay, so Esau was snared, and there's no getting out of it. He got to come on with it. You know, ain't no reverse. Okay, in prophecy, man. Prophecy is all forward, man. You see, things might slow down, but we getting to the point where the Lord gonna remove the brakes off the car, man. you know, and put the and just press on the gas. Okay, this is the book of Sirach 19 and 22. This brother not GMS all in 144 said, the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither any time the counsel of sinners prudence. So the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. You know, this man boasting his IQ and boasting he can do this, he can split the atom, he can go into the molecule, he can clone meat, he can GMO, you know, fruit, and you know, well, that's not true wisdom. That's stupid. Okay, just because you can do something extraordinary, that doesn't mean that it's wisdom. Okay, and the fact that this man's whole purpose of this new world order is to undermine the Most High, they're stupid. It don't matter what, you know, achievements he does within, okay, the framework of trying, all right, to rebel against the Most High and undermine him with his technocracy. It don't mind what achievements he got. You know, he can duplicate an embryo and this and that, whatever. You know, gene splicing, gene editing. None of that matters, man. Because the idea, the foundational idea is stupid. Okay? So the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sin is prudence, man. Okay? And the Lord has this man set up for complete failure, man. Okay? And we're seeing all the signs that the Lord's getting ready to move in the earth. Okay? 1 Peter 4 and 7 is a brother called Judah. It says, but the end of all things is at hand. Okay, the end of Esau's rulership and the end of our captivity, man. Okay, those are the two major events, all right, that's happening simultaneously, man. Because he's falling from power. Esau is falling from power and sliding into captivity. Okay, while we're rising from captivity, all right, and we're being exalted into power. Okay, and these things are going to be finalized at the return of Yahweh. Okay, when Yahweh returns, we are officially in power. And Esau is officially removed from power. His power is officially ended at the return of Yahweh, man. You know, so the scriptures tell us be sober, you know, be level-headed, you know, be in the spirit, man. You see? and watch unto prayer. So we watch these things and we're praying, that hey, the Lord has mercy, man. We're praying, for humility. We see praying for the body, for the believers of church, brothers out there on the front line, man. Prayers are going out as we see. Okay, we in this time, man. Pray for the Spirit to let this thing go, man. Not to be emotional, to have courage, to execute. Okay, in the clutch, man. Okay, this is let's see. So yeah, let's get this. All right, this is the book of Luke. All right, so you go into the book of Luke, chapter 21. All right, how Shah speaking of the end times. All right, this is in the AMP as well. It's Luke 21 and 25. It said there will be signs, okay, attesting miracles in the sun, the moon, and stars. And on the earth there will be distress and anguish among nations and perplexity. And it says at the roaring and tossing of the sea and waves. So what we're seeing is that distress and anguish amongst nations. We're seeing the signs in the heavens. Okay, we're seeing the eclipse, man. You had, another eclipse. I think it was tonight. It was last night. And you see, these things are happening on, our Sabbaths. You had three different, signs in the heaven on the new moon. This last new moon that came in. Okay, and then you had, all right, the Sabbath. You had more signs in heaven on the Sabbath. Okay, and there's just the Lord, showing us. Okay, hey, we here. You see, perplexity. People not knowing what to do. People are tapping out. You know, suicides is all time high. People say they wouldn't mind if they didn't wake up. Okay, because all these constant, psychological operations wearing people down. Okay, the economy jacked up, man. People can't afford life anymore. Okay, and these things are intentionally being done, man. The ultimate is the will of the Lord going forth. Okay, roaring and tossing of the sea in ways which we know this can go in the uproars of the people as well, because we know the sea represent the people. But then you have, different storms. Okay, different floods that we're gonna get into. I know some of you brothers and sisters have seen, what happened in Nepal. All right, and that's just judgment, man. You see, and that's just another indicator of the time we in, man. Verse 26 said, "People fainting from fear and expectation of the dreadful things coming on the world." Okay, yeah, people just gonna be overwhelmed. It's just gonna be so bad, man. Just the thought of what's happening, the sound. People are going to be hearing, the constant, gunshots and screams, and you know, the constant death around them, man, and certain catastrophes and disasters, and teeth of wild beasts. You see, so it's just gonna be overwhelming out here, man. And this is why we want to be within the secret place of the Most High. We want to be hid from these things, man. Okay, which our power promised that we was gonna be good in the midst of this, man. Because this is the punishment for the wicked, for Esau, these nations, and 2/3, man. These dreadful times are coming. Okay, that's why the scriptures even say in Malachi, it speaks about the good and dreadful day of Yahushua, man. Okay, it says things coming on the world, for the very powers of heaven will be shaken. Heaven going into this current rulership, the powers of this rulership, they're going to be shook up, man. The elites, they're already cowards any goddamn way. The Edomite man, you see. But when Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua put pressure in the earth, man, okay, all this tough talking, we can make the Most High as mad as we want. All it's going to go out the window, man. Okay, we can do this, and we not worried about, a God in the heavens, in the sky, all this mockery, all this gonna go out the window, man. When the Lord show true power, man. So from the elites on down to the common man, the terror of the Lord, all right, you see, it's gonna be in the earth, man. It's gonna affect everyone, man. The elites ain't outside of, being terrorized by the Lord, man. They're going to be terrorized more than the common man. That's why the scripture speak about them, being in those bunkers, saying hide us from the wrath of the Lamb. Okay, they're not going to have that energy, that bold energy, as if, they're a God in the earth, when the Lord really begins, to terrorize the earth with judgment, man. Because there's going to be things happening that the elites can't account for, man. Okay, there's going to be things happening in the earth that they can't account for, man. You see? Verse 27 said, then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with transcendent, overwhelming power, subduing the nations and with great glory, man. Come on, man. It said the Lord gonna be, it says Yahweh Shai coming in a cloud, that chariot with transcendent, overwhelming power, man. The power this world can't fathom. Okay, way above, the power. It can't be measured. Okay, the power Yahweh Shai is coming with. The script, because even he said, well, all power is given unto me in heaven and earth. And he's coming back with that power to judge, man. It can't be measured. You can't put light years on. You can't say, well, this technology is, 10,000 years. It's a light year hit. No, you can't put a measurement on it, man. It's going to be overwhelming power. Okay, Yahweh Shai is coming with. Okay. Verse 28 says, now when these things begin to occur, and stand tall and lift up your heads in joy. Yeah, we're rejoicing at this, man. You see, we're rejoicing at this, man. This is our joy. When we see these things, these prophecy should have us amped up, man. In the spirit of leaving this world behind, man, this age behind. Okay, this place is finished, man. We're finna start to live. You see, we finna be transitioning to a righteous kingdom. We're finna be changed. The spirit been heavy, about us being changed, man. We finna be changed, man. You see, we got everything coming to us, man. Okay, and says, stand tall and lift up your heads in joy, because suffering ends as your redemption is drawing near. You see, because suffering ends as your redemption is drawing near, man. Our redemption is near, and we're seeing all the signs. The Lord is giving us these signs for a faith booster, man. We're receiving all these signs for a faith booster, man. Okay, so let's go here. Let's start off with this. You see, what's going on around the world? Signs in heaven, global judgment. Okay, so let's play this.
The moon is turning a spooky shade of red later this week. A blood moon, total lunar eclipse, will be visible to the naked eye across the U.S. Thursday night. The eclipse begins at 6 p.m. and ends around midnight on Friday. Maximum visibility will be 9 p.m. It will be most visible on the East Coast, but LA will also be able to see a partial eclipse. At least we get a little.
Yeah.
2026 has seen heat, fires, and now tornadoes in Europe. And that's just summer so far.
It's unbelievable seeing all that video, and there's so much of it that's out there as well.
I mean, it looked like miniatures on a Lego set. I mean, there's just look at this. It is the force of Mother Nature. No one stands a chance at looking at how quickly that comes over, and then it just demolishes everything in its wake.
You see all these buses in the parking lot. Watch what happens here. All those buses in the parking lot tossed around like they were, Matchbox toys. I mean, look at that. It's just unbelievable.
I'd imagine the search is going to be very difficult with how much compounded rubble there is. I mean, this is the image that took me the most. I mean, look at the height of that.
Oh my God, Mario.
The term flash flood barely seems to capture the size and deadly force of the water that crashed through this valley. Certainty of survival for those who had time to run to higher ground. Many didn't.
These are all recent events in which a weather phenomenon called El Nino is likely playing a part. And it's probably just the beginning. This El Nino is shaping up to be a big one.
I have never seen
a forecast that looks like this. The strength of the El Nino in our forecasts is already at very high levels, even at this early stage. It peaks in November, December, and by that stage, it looks very much like it's going to be a record event, the biggest in recent history, the biggest in living memory, and perhaps even the biggest for over a century.
But, I mean, the footage, which you can see there, it's just unbelievable, Danica.
It's apocalyptic. It is so scary. You know, there's some vision, and I think we played it earlier on in the night, and you can see people running for their lives, and then all of a sudden a wall of water collapses on top of them. You wouldn't survive that. You know, my heart goes out to all the, this. Sorry, this is actually the vision I'm referring to right here. This is it. Then you can see that. You'll see in a minute. It's going to come over the back of that building there. It's just frightening, and you know, we hope and pray finds, and we hope everyone is in a safe place.
Back here in the U.S., more than 60 million people are under heat alerts from the Gulf Coast to the Pacific, and Los Angeles is on a 12-day run of 90-degree heat, the longest in 30 years. And that dangerous heat wave fueling a wave of more than 90 large wildfires burning all across the country. Here's CBS's Chris Van Cleve.
The wildfires tearing through Texas are consuming tens of thousands of acres as firefighters battling strong winds struggle to gain the upper hand. Triple-digit temperatures are blanketing several states in the south.
A rare tornado has torn through villages near the city of Carcassonne in southern France. It struck at about 5 o'clock yesterday during severe storms. There it is. The authorities reported that at least 26 people were injured and around 2,800 households were without electricity after the storm caused significant damage to homes, overturned cars, and ripped up trees.
Incredible pictures.
At first, it doesn't look too threatening, but the tornado grows with every turn. This video is 5 minutes long. We've shortened it, but watch as the twister builds in that time. As it gains momentum, the circling winds reach 75 miles an hour. This family filmed parts of their home vanish as the tornado roared by. Its power was felt in a moment once it had passed.
In France, and scenes like this in Spain, just south of Barcelona. Wild conditions here in Tarragona. We had severe thunderstorms sweep across the area, torrential rainstorms, hail as well. That's caused widespread flooding. Big impacts there. The flooding has been ongoing, actually. This is the view from somebody in a bus during the afternoon as they tried to make their way across the city. But
yeah, and if a brother could put Isaiah 29:6. Okay, but yeah, it's all the earth catching hell, man. You know, and we know, Esau tampers with the things, but who gives Esau the marching orders? Because Esau is moving off the instructions of the Lord. Okay. Certain things Esau tamper with, certain things are just natural disasters, man. All right, the Lord, directly getting at the earth, man. But it's all throughout the world. The end of the day, all judgment, come from the Lord. Matter of fact, let's get that Amos, 3 and 6. Amos 3 and 6 and 7, Bible shot.
You see there the impact. Similar impact being felt in the likes of Marseille as well.
And the extreme weather comes just a day after the northeastern port city of Tarragona was hit with severe rain and hailstorms and street flooding. Weather conditions caused rail disruptions, highway closures, and hundreds of emergency calls. Experts say storms.
Now, the region impacted by this disaster has experienced flash floods in the past, including one that happened in August of last year. Warming temperatures often melt those glaciers in the Himalayas, sending water and rocks flowing down to nearby villages.
Several hydro energy projects in the region, trying to use the power of the water, have instead been demolished by it. The connections of the Nepalese community stretch 5,000 miles to London.
Totally heartbroken. 4 or 5 people back from my hometown. All of them are engineers working in the hydro project sites, and all of a sudden it came, so they're missing now.
Around 8:30 local time yesterday, a catastrophic flash flood of unprecedented scale, roaring down valleys and collecting riverside towns with unimaginable violence. Those caught in its path stood barely a chance, running, swimming, drowning. Here, workers at water level, with the level suddenly racing towards them.
Oh my God,
The uphill battle of their lives. Another security camera captures the moments before. People in panic, then the black water arrives, lifting buses and buildings, leaving nowhere to hide. Here, kids in a school bus. The driver floors it as the floods give chase. Bridge after bridge collapsed under the weight of water and debris. Another here, snapping in two, carried downstream. It moved fast and with force. Everything in its path destroyed with terrifying ease. The casualty figures moving upwards quickly as well. More than 1,000 missing, many of them tourists, 600 so far.
Every 2 to 7 years, something happens in the tropical Pacific. Trade winds, which usually blow east to west, stall, or sometimes reverse. That means the warm water that typically accumulates in the western Pacific spreads eastwards. Rainfall patterns across the Pacific are disrupted, with knock-on effects worldwide for a year or more. Like failing monsoons in South Asia to drought in Australia and winter storms in the UK and Ireland. Temperatures spike too. Combined with the effects of climate change, 2027 is predicted to be the hottest on record. Average sea surface temperatures are expected to be 3 degrees Celsius warmer than normal in some regions.
We've not had an El Nino like this on top of the level of global warming that we now have. That means that if we look at places that normally suffer drought and high temperatures during El Nino, that this time those impacts are on top of elevated warming that lying underneath that, and so that's what's going to take it to unprecedented levels.
An advanced glimpse, perhaps, of the heat the world can expect in the years to come.
Yeah, there's a ripple effect, man. Record-breaking heat. Okay, tornadoes, because that heat that intensify, the storms, hurricane, tornadoes. Okay, like flooding. And we know that it's all of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay, so let me load up this video, then get some of these precepts. Y'all brothers got, let's go. Which one I had next? Oh, yeah. Cue this one up. Okay, let's go here. All right, this is brother Yahshua, my tribe of Judah, Isaiah 29:6. It says, "Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise and with storm and tempest and flame of devouring fire," man. All these things are happening at the same time, man. Like I say, these storms are getting more intense. And you see that flood, man. You can imagine being ground zero in that flood, man. And way behind you, you're running. All right, Nepal, them heathens, what was it, Elam, over there in Nepal. All right, but goddamn, the Elam slow as hell. None of them niggas was moving fast enough for me. All that goddamn water, You know, you think they will find another gear somewhere, but you know, but now and they through. The big ass wave come in, you know, you ground zero, man. Okay, there's a big 70-foot wave, all right, 10 foot from your ass, man. You can imagine the terror. You know, that was a terror. You know, you heard the screaming. You see, it's all judgment, man. Okay, so we see all the signs. You know, this is nothing but signs of judgment. You know, we see the eclipse, the blood moon. These are all signs, man. All right, this is another one to Brother Yashima, tribe of Judah. Amos 3 and 6 says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord Yahweh Bashim al Shai have not done it? Because Esau was just a tool. So whatever Esau was doing, he's working on the left hand for the Lord. He's you know, he's carrying out orders on the left hand from the Lord. So there's evil in the city. Well, you can trace it back to Yahweh Bashim al Shai, man. It's judgment. You see? So we're going to continue to see judgment ramp up in these last days, man. You see? Let me see. All right, this the brother. Okay, so now let's play this. All right, which this is from the Brothers Arrows of the Indian Nation off his channel. But let's just play this real quick. So we know persecution is on the way.
Shit is fixing to get real. I have now heard from several credible resources that a certain group of people are going to start staging hate crimes so that they can wipe out the black race. Anyone that's awake and that has read the Bible and especially done your due diligence to research the Bible, you know that people of color are direct descendants from the ancient Israelites. And that's exactly why they want to take them out. We have to protect our brothers and sisters at all costs. We should be protecting all of our brothers and sisters anyways. But now it's coming down to where they're going to start staging hate crimes so that we turn against each other yet again. I really hope that you keep your eyes open, use discernment, and realize what's really going on and what they're trying to do. So when you start seeing all this fake ass news going on, all these events, hate crimes and race crimes, come on now. Use discernment and don't fall for that shit and protect your brothers and sisters. Because anyone that knows the Bible knows that our Savior was not a white man. He was black. So.
Yeah, we already know they've been trying to kill us for 400 years or more. And
you see, you know, truth is out. You know, Esau's deceptions, you know, are losing, you know, his power. His enchantments are losing power, you know, to a certain degree. Now, there's those that are meant, you know, to be enchanted, you know, to be, under this man's, you know, spell, okay, of lies, you know, for their judgment, you see. But then you see how there's this constant awakening of the truth, okay. And it makes sense that this devil is going to start, and which brothers have been saying that for a long time. The devil to start false flagging, okay, events, you know, blaming it on the prophets, okay, or blaming it on Jake in general, okay, so he can be justified to come with the sword, you know, because we know this devil pushes propaganda before the sword. You know, how many decades of propaganda, you know, did they push, you know, dealing with Iran having, you know, the means to build a nuclear weapon before they finally came with the sword. You know, the same thing with Saddam, okay, Same thing with Gaddafi. It's the same thing. So they're gonna use that same tactic here in America, all right, against the tribes, man. You know, with the prophets at the forefront, because that's their prize target is the prophets, man. Okay, so it makes sense for them to do that. You know, and the brother's been saying that for a while, starting with our apostles and elders. So we're gonna see. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see how this devil, you know, goes with his move, man. But he got to play his move. He got to go with something. You know, that's why when you go to, let's go here to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. You know, and this is devil. And this is when you go to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, this is how these devils are thinking real time right now. You know, this is real time, okay, counsel of these devils, okay, of what they want to do. Beginning with the prophets, man, but ultimately the tribes as a whole, but beginning with the prophets at the forefront. Okay, because you know they're gonna do their damnness, all right, to make us what the face, all right, of terrorism, man. Okay, so you go here to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, in verse 12, it says, therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraided us with our offending the law, and objection, all right, an objective to our infamy, the transgression of our education. So it says, therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, man. You know, which they finna start setting those snares and traps. You know, you got these Christians coming into the camp, you know, just to cause, you know, ruckus, you know, to try to draw out, you know, carnality and emotions out of brothers. You know, you had the incident that happened with a GMS Atlanta, you know, with those brothers, okay, with that guy, you know, the Christian guy, I think he's an underling of vocab, you know, so you're gonna have more of that agent provocateurs, okay, trying to draw out carnality, you see, so it's gonna be a lot going on, all right, in these last days, all right, because these devils have a lot that they got to try to do. You know, they got to deal with the prophets. They got to deal, you know, with the war. They got to deal with, you know, the data centers and getting them up and running. And you see, these devils got a lot to do, man. So these devils are going to begin to get more, all right, frantic, okay, more weary, and they're just going to get more impulsive and frustrated, okay, and it's just going to get more bloody out here, man. You see, it says he is clean contrary to our doings. They know that we're in complete opposition, contrary, we're in opposition to this devil, man. It says he upbraided, and upbraided is a stern rebuke, cursing this devil out, man. You see, and you keep reading verse 13. It says he professed to have the knowledge of the Most High, and he called himself the child of the Lord. Yeah, we're calling ourselves who we are. We're Israelites, Yasha'Allah. We are the children of the Most High. We are the sons and daughters of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah. Okay? It's not a lie, it's the truth. You keep, okay? And this man is going to make the scripture say an offender for the word. He's going to make it, you know, a crime to speak truth. Okay? And we're not backing down from that, man. The Lord keeps the spirit on us, you know, to be bold. You see, it says he was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us to behold, for he is not like other men's, all right, other men's. His ways are of another fashion, man. And they're talking about the prophets, man. You know, because 2/3 are in self-destruct mode. You know, they just want to get them out just cuz. They want to get rid of them niggas just cuz. You see, and 2/3 are easy target because 2/3 fulfill all the stereotypes that the devil pushes, man, that justifies his use of the sword. Okay, but with the remnant, it's gonna be different. Okay, there's prophesied to be martyrs, but then there's a standard prophesied too. Okay, he gonna have to deal with that. All right, just as he started this war, okay, and now he's on the back foot. Well, he gonna walk into a trap, you know, because their war was a trap for Esau, and now his blood thirst, okay, for the tribes, you know, and when he puts his aim on the prophets, man, hey, that's gonna be another trap this devil gonna step into, man. Okay, it says we are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He abstained from our ways as from filthiness. He pronounces the end of the just to be blessed, and making his boast that the Most High is his Father. Let us see if his words be true. Let us prove what he shall. Let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. So these devils are psyching themselves up. You know, they're saying that the Most High is going to help them, that they're going to be blessed, that their kingdom is coming next. You know, and the Lord is going to intervene. Okay, well, the devil is hyping himself up to test that theory, man. Okay, it said, for if the just man be the son of the Most High, he will help him and deliver him from the hands of his enemies, man. Okay, so these devils are gearing themselves up, man. This is the elites thinking, because the elites are going to give the marching orders, because you know them cowards ain't going to be nowhere around. Okay, they're going to give the marching orders, man. You see, to go forth with this persecution, you know, and to target, you know, brothers. Okay, so let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Okay, let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. Okay, so this is the mindset of the elites. Okay, if they're getting ready for this persecution, man, this is their thought process. This is their counsel. Okay, such things did they imagine and were deceived. So a lot of these things that these devils want to do, they're deceiving themselves, man. And why I say the Lord got them hyping themselves up to do this, man. Just as he did Pharaoh, he hardened Pharaoh to come after us, you know, while we was what, you know, by the what you call Suez Canal, close to the Red Sea. Okay, he got this devil, you know, he got Pharaoh, you see, to go with his move. Pharaoh like up and go get these niggas back, man. You know, and it was a setup. So just like Esau over there hyping himself up, priming himself up, he a goddamn coward. So you know he gotta prime himself up. Okay, when it comes to the men of the Lord. And when he finally do it, man, hey, it ain't gonna go like he think. You know, there's a few that's allotted to be martyrs, but then there's, you know, gonna be a standard lifted, man. It says, for their own wickedness have blinded them. See, the devil is blinded. Okay, because what we're saying is happening in real time. And Esau's not looking like, damn, that power is with him, you know. He's gonna be in the spirit like, man, let's try. You know, and he's gonna walk into that trap. It says, yeah, we ended there on that. So let's play this. This is another one. Another video I want to get. Let's go here, because all these alignments are happening just as the Lord said it will happen, man. You know, and if a brother want to post it in Isaiah chapter 46, verses 9 and 10, and Bible shop, if you can put it in the NLT. But let's play this real quick. Now we see all right, this war. And what we're seeing is these alliances are being made that the Bible prophesied. Okay, and for the longest, everybody been waiting to see, okay, what Turkey, like how they gonna get involved in it. And now we're seeing that, you know, with Turkey and the small hats beginning to bump heads in Syria. Okay, because remember, Syria used to be part of the Ottoman Empire. You know, the Turkey is what remains of the once Ottoman Empire. Okay, so Turkey, you know, Syria, you know, is up for grabs because there's no government. There's really no government in Syria. All right, they just got this nigga that used to be the head of ISIS. Okay, they put a suit on this nigga, slicked his hair back, and say, "This is the president." Okay, so Syria really is not even a functioning state at the moment. Okay, so like it's up for grabs. So you got the small hats; they want their greater Israel project, and you got Turkey. Okay, they want their old Ottoman Empire territory, man. Okay, and Turkey is a formidable military. All right, it's a part of NATO. So it has a high tech weaponry, and it has a respected ground force. That's been tested. Okay, in battle. So now we see, all right, where Turkey is starting to come into the play, which is fulfillment of prophecy, man. So let's play this. Lord will, we can go into that history in the morning. Dealing with how the Middle East was carved up by these the British, the small hats, the French, Baratas are in the morning. But let's play this.
The Turks have deep-seated interest in making sure that Iran shows that it can stand up to the Israelis and that Iran doesn't fold, because we've been listening to the Israelis talk for weeks now, if not months now, that Turkey is the threat number one after Iran. So once Iran's done with, we'll turn to Turkey. It's all part of the Greater Israel Project. So the Turks will go to great lengths to make sure that the Iranians survive.
It's obvious that China wants Iran to succeed in this war. Russia wants Iran to succeed in this war.
Yes.
But also Turkey, which is a NATO member. So it's almost like this war is almost like an existential threat to Turkey also, is it not? Because Turkey should, if we succeed in Israel and the United States succeed in this war, they know that the next aim is to go after Turkey, right? So that's why Turkey would be rooting with Russia, China, and most of the world, by the way, is rooting for Iran in this war. Isn't that correct?
The rest of the world, for the most part, has a vested interest in seeing us lose in Iran. I mean, forget the blockade. If you're Chinese or you're Russian or you're Turkish, the last thing you want to see happen here is the United States defeat Iran. You want to see Iran win the war. So you sitting, if Iran loses, then the Israelis and the Americans will put their gun sights on Turkey. You understand that the Turks have deep-seated interest in making sure that Iran shows that it can stand up to the Israelis and that Iran doesn't fold, because we've been listening to the Israelis talk for weeks now, if not months now, that Turkey is the threat number one after Iran. So once Iran's done with, we'll turn to Turkey. It's all part of the Greater Israel Project. So the Turks will go to great lengths to make sure that the Iranians survive.
Everything's changing, first of all, because every country in the region is saying the United States is completely unstable. It's not our security. We don't know what the hell these people are doing, but they're not doing anything sensible. So the most dramatic change, of course, is the announcement that the nuclear power, Pakistan, will create a new military alliance with Turkey and Saudi Arabia.
Well, this is it right here. So that's called the Mecca Joint Agreement, American Short-Term Community. So this would be Turkey, along with Pakistan, along with Saudi Arabia, which is,
and this can be the beginning of Second Esdras, 15, the Carmanians, all right, which is the Iranians, okay, joining with what the dragons of Arabia, okay. This could be the beginning of it, all right, because these nations, because first of all, as he went into it, now it's in Turkey's interest to keep Iran, okay, on top in this war. Okay, so it will make sense for Turkey to begin to aid Iran to keep them on top. Okay, because they know that if Iran goes down, that America and the small hats will target them next. Begin to try to topple their government. Okay, and all ambition for this Greater Israel Project. Okay, so we're seeing, the Lord, all right, is manipulating the interests of these nations for the sake of prophecy, man. Okay, so now it's in Turkey's interest to keep Iran, okay, on top in this war, just like it's in China's interest, it's in Pakistan's interest, okay, it's in North Korea's interest, China's interest, all right, and more and more nations are going to see what it's in their best interest, okay, to begin to ally, okay, with Russia, Iran, and China, these kings of the East, man, to bring down the whore, okay, and the small hats, man, okay. So we're seeing our power, manipulate, the geopolitics, okay, for the sake of fulfilling prophecy, man. It's a beautiful thing. Hey, the Lord's putting on a master game of strategy. Let's play this.
Supposed to be our ally.
That's correct, and probably Egypt will join this soon as well. But what's happening is a fundamental realignment of global politics that Trump has accelerated to move countries all over the world to say we cannot partner, trade, rely on, invest in the United States because it's not a rational place or it's not led by rational people. So what we're seeing here with this Mecca agreement, it's the same thing that we hear from Canada. These people are crazy. We're in a war, trade war with the United States right now. I mean, they say we're crazy, and they're right. Mark Carney, who's a very sensible Prime Minister of Canada, and I'm proud to say was a student.
Yeah, so he's just speaking about now, a trade war with Canada, and then America just makes new enemies every day, but it's a desperate empire that's in decline, and this is what empires do when they're declining. They become impulsive, in a desperate attempt to show some type of power. Okay. And we're just seeing America crash out, man. We're seeing elites crash out, even their their scheme of playing both sides, so no matter who wins, they're the victors, well, we know how Shah is going to destroy both sides, so that scheme is out the window. Okay, you can throw that out the playbook. Okay. So yeah, man, we're going to see the prophecy, the Lord continue to manipulate, all right, geopolitics, okay, in favor to fulfill prophecy, man. So let's get this real quick. This the brother you call Hope for 144, Isaiah 46:9 in the NLT. Remember the things I have done in the past, for I alone am the Most High. All right, I am the Most High, and there is none like me. And the Most High is going to make himself. He makes himself stand alone through prophecy, man. These elites, they boasting this and that, and they're used to being, ahead, of the curve. Okay, they're used to being in control of, all these moving parts. Well, now they're beginning to lose control. Okay, now they're having to start to react to certain things. Instead of them just executing, they're having to start to react to certain things now. And eventually they're gonna be completely on the back foot, and eventually they're gonna be through. They're gonna be in chains. They're gonna be in bunkers hiding, and then they're gonna go from those bunkers to chains, man. Okay, to the labor force. You see, to the pits. Isaiah 46:10. Only I can tell you. All right, this is Isaiah 46:10 in NLT. Only I can tell you the future before it happens. And how is the Lord telling the future before it happens? Via the prophets. Everything I plan will come to pass, for I do whatever I wish, man. And the Most High is the only one that has that boast. Okay, Esau can't boast in that. There's a lot of things that this devil want to do, he's not going to get done. There's a lot of things that he attempts and it backfires, man. Certain things he's able to execute because the Lord wants him to execute to fulfill his will, man. Okay, to fulfill the will of the Lord, man. Okay, so yeah, we're in some beautiful times, man. We're watching our power at work, man. So Lord will, all right. We endure. Lord will. The Lord keeps the spirit on us, man. You brothers, all right, you few, sincere sisters, man. May we be covered, going into these times, and it's not, we don't got long to the chariots, man. So Lord will, his lesson was edifying, to the next time I say Shalom. And I think it'll be Sunday. Our Rogers when we go into the history dealing with, how they called it the Middle East. Got something else for the morning. So our Rogers Sunday morning we'll tap into that history. Lord will is make more sense of what we're seeing playing out, you know, today, real time as well. You know, our brothers are, you know, Lord will, till next time, Shalom.